AM 1460, the new WXBR. You are listening to the Metro South Morning Show, PM in the AM. Peter Czymbor and Mike Pava here with you on a Friday morning tonight at McNeil's in Providence, and tomorrow night at the Massasoit Elks Lodge in Boston. Rapper GDP takes the stage. He has a new EP out called Holla, and it's never been colder in late August. He joins us right now here on AM 1460, the new WXBR. GDP, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for having me, boys.
Now, you are taking an interesting approach to promoting yourself as a rapper, in my opinion. I often don't see a lot of rappers take to touring on such a grassroots level initially when it comes to getting the career started. You don't mind hopping in the van, going from show to show, and touring.
I mean, I come from like a punk rock background, you know? It's kind of like the only thing I know, and it's like the only thing that's ever been made available to me, you know? So it's like, if I'm going to do it, like I'm going to do it, you know, whatever means necessary. It's kind of like you play the hand you're dealt, and it's like, you know, I still have a good time traveling like this and able to, like, you know, do my thing and play good shows. So it's like, it's, you know, it's all the same to me.
It seems like more often than not, when rappers go about promoting themselves, if they do tour at all, they try to get on another tour opening for someone. But more often than not, they just try to collaborate with other rappers and try to get their name out there, a la that way, or through mixtapes and whatnot. What's some of the more interesting venues you've played? You'll be playing McNeil's in Providence tonight and the Massasoit Elks Lodge in Boston tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I played at like the Fillmore in North Carolina the other week, which is like, you know, more like a, like 2 Chainz just sold it out. You know, it's kind of more like a traditional, like, you know, hip hop venue or whatever. But like, you know, in North Carolina, I've also played like in a trailer, backyards. I played one time in New Mexico, like in the mountains. Like, they just drove like a power generator like a mile up this crazy mountain in Los Alamos, and rocked there like all night. And you know, it's just always changing. It's kind of just like whatever makes sense. So long as it seems like a worthwhile investment of, you know, an evening, I'm into it.
It doesn't exactly matter where the stage is that you're performing on. It matters how you rock that stage, right?
It definitely doesn't matter to me, and especially, you know, like I've been doing this for a while, like in the independent age. I feel like more and more artists are catching on, and even like bigger show promoters and like, you know, organizations, companies are kind of catching on and trying to keep it more personal. It's like, you know, you have bigger name brands and people that, you know, I won't even say names, you know, like Vitamin Water, places like that, doing, you know, smaller scale shows and trying to keep it more intimate and just, you know, starting to really appreciate the benefit of just like, you know, smaller capacity clubs, even with like bigger name artists, or, you know.
We're chatting with rapper GDP here on AM 1460, the new WXBR. Have you ever opened for someone, or who have you done shows with in the past that you enjoyed sharing the stage with?
I mean, dude, I've opened for like all sorts of people. I don't know, noteworthy, like WuTang, RZA. I played with like I opened with like Mac Miller the other year at you know, like a venue in Jersey. I played with like tons of punk bands too and stuff. As again, like I have roots in that. I played like last time like Loma Prieta was in New York, like we rocked like an after party. You know, I played like all sorts of, you know, bigger name acts, but it's like, you know, in those sort of situations, like no one's exactly like putting me on tour with those dudes full time. So it's like I want to make it work for myself because like I have a following that wants to see me in their town, and it means like, you know, it's got to be a slightly smaller venue than, you know, where RZA plays when he plays your city. Like I don't mind.
Now, you mentioned that you have a punk rock background which led into your hip-hop career. Tell us exactly your background in punk rock, how you got started.
I wouldn't say it led into maybe my hip-hop career. It didn't really lead to me, like, rhyming. I've probably been rapping just as long as, you know, I've been doing anything. But, you know, when I was younger, so a lot of hip-hop shows were 21 and up, and I didn't get a fake ID until I was, like, 18. So, yeah, it's like, you know, playing in punk bands forever. I used to play in a band called Flesh Temple. They're still going. Just touring and playing in bands since, you know, I graduated high school and, like, went on tour in a band for 2 months. It was, like, actually, I guess the dude who booked that tour and played guitar in that band is the engineer who mixed Kala. You know, I've made a bunch of music with. So, like, you know, it kind of just all comes full circle. People I've met throughout the years, like, you know, kept in touch with and paid attention to what I've been up to and have taken, you know, interest in my rap music. And kind of facilitated a whole nother, like, network of, like, you know, promotion and just show playing and stuff that maybe like a lot of MCs, especially like up-and-comers or lesser-known rappers, just really don't have access to. So it's nice, man. It's cool. Well, it's not, you know, it's not like some like well-calculated thing that happened. It's just sort of like the course of my life is kind of, you know, stacked up kind of nicely.
You're originally from West Orange, New Jersey. What's the music scene like in West Orange, New Jersey?
West Orange side, New Jersey. The music scene, I mean, growing up, so I started going to shows really young, so I kind of caught the tail end of a really beautiful, like, Essex County, like, New Jersey punk movement. I think it was the last day of 5th grade. Me and my boy Sean went and saw, it was like 88 Fingers Louie, like Ben the Surf Goons, Random Task, who ended up coming, like, Steel Train, like, all those bands. So, like, that was one cool guy, like, New Jersey legends. So I saw that when I was, like, 10 years old at a spot where they ended up building, like, a ton of huge homes behind it, and they stopped doing shows there. And a lot of venues I saw kind of get shut down and kind of have their run before more kids my age started going to shows. So it's like by the time kids were like 13 and 14 and started, like worrying about Warped Tour or something like that, I had already been going to shows for like 3 or 4 years, and it just seemed like the West Orange and New Jersey music scene kind of like, things go in waves, and like I kind of caught the tail end of like a really awesome wave. And then I waited for it to start back up, I guess, by the time I was like, in high school, things were popping again in like, the West Orange, even more specifically like Montclair, Bloomfield, like Essex County area. But I kind of, I kind of saw it before the internet really started having a place in the punk rock world. It was cool. I was super young, so I guess, made a serious impact on me at a young age.
How much of an impact does the internet play into not just yours but other bands in getting their name out there these days? Because it almost seems like just doing it yourself, going the independent route, can be far more lucrative than trying to get signed by a major label and whatnot. You kind of cut out the middleman of someone saying whether this is good enough or good enough for consumers to appreciate. The consumer can just go right to you via the internet nowadays.
I mean, in theory, like the internet is the new like record label. You know what I mean? Like even down to like, you go to like, what's the site, Kickstarter, and you can actually like get money. You know what I mean? From down to like your advance, make your own advance on your project, or in terms of distribution, promotion, design, like all that stuff is like, you can make your own music video on the damn like camera that comes on your laptop if you really want it. You know what I mean? Like it's all there for you, but. I think, again, people are just playing the hands they're dealt. I'm sure there's a lot of artists that have gotten their exposure via the internet or, eventually will, that would be happy for, like, some label to cut them a check for, like, $50,000 and let them worry about it and, like, sit back and, like, but, it's just not really happening like that anymore, so you have to be, adaptable.
We're chatting with GDP, rapper who plays in Providence tonight at McNeil's, tomorrow night at the Massasoit Elks Lodge in Boston. His new EP, Holla, is available. Now, where can people check out the EP, Holla?
It's at fine retailers. It's on Recover Records. So it would be, I'd say, anywhere that they're carrying their fine catalog. It's vinyl and digital only, so you're not gonna find it on CD anywhere. But for now, let's say go to runtocoverrecords.com and buy it, unless you want to grab it, or one of your finer record stores. What's the store in Boston?
Is it Newberry Comics?
Newberry Comics, yeah.
That's the place to go.
I imagine it's available there. I have a list in my email of all the stores that's available, but I don't have that list right now. Do a little research. Cats not use Google, right? They have Google in Rhode Island and Boston.
Yes, they do. Despite the fact that you are from West Orange, New Jersey, you do seem to have an interesting connection with Boston, Providence, and the New England area. You seem to be here often.
Yeah, man. I like it there. Aside from, obviously, the tri-state, I live in New York now, and like I was in Philly for a bit. So, aside from the tri-state, like Boston is like, one of my favorite places, especially. It's like, decent city, just close enough and just far enough away that it's like I'm not there all the time, so it's still like, it's kind of nice to get up there. So I haven't been to Boston in a minute, and it's like I don't think I've probably been to Boston like 100, 150 times. Like I've never not had like a really good time there.
So you're an East Coast guy through and through. New York, Philly, and your second favorite home outside of home is Boston.
Yeah, it's fair to say. I'm a nomad. Yeah, I like West Coast too. I like the South. I like the Midwest, but Boston is my jam.
You like anywhere where people enjoy your music, right?
Yeah, just like friends, things to get into. It's like anywhere, some sort of anywhere different. Boston's got its own vibe to it. It's got this really nice, quaint, like old world, like brownstone vibe going on, and like I dig that. I dig that for a few days, every few weeks.
We're chatting with GDP here on AM 1460, the new WXPR. You mentioned earlier sharing the stage with RZA from the WuTang Clan. You've also collaborated with him. What's it like collaborating with him? Who's the favorite collaborator you've had thus point to your career, and who would you like to collaborate with at some point in the future?
He and I've never technically collaborated. Okay. I played with him in Australia, and I played with WuTang in New Jersey. But he and I've never officially collaborated. My favorite collaboration up to this point. We did this song that my dude Pistol and I had like this weird idea. We flipped the Cream beat by like WuTang. Well, I guess I'll tie it all in. The Cream beat, and turned it into like Cash Ruins Everything Around Me. And we got Del the Funky Homo Sapien on it. Kind of just like ran into him and like he's friend to a friend. He just like liked the beat and hopped on it, and he laid 2 verses for it. And then the dude Hellraiser from like Sons of Man, like that whole WuTang. It just gotten out of he had like a brain aneurysm. He was in like a coma for a while, but he beat it, and I believe he'll be getting on it too. We don't have his verse yet. I know like last time we spoke to him, he was still just like gaining his vocal strength back. So that'll be a hot one. That'll be happening soon. The song will be out already. We're kind of just waiting on those final little details. That'll be sick.
You mentioned doing shows with the WuTang Clan in Australia. What's it like performing internationally as opposed to domestically here in the United States?
Man, you don't really hear the accents when you're up there. It's kind of just like the same, different styles. Some places people are more appreciative. Some places, it's not terribly different. I guess when, internationally, like, you have way less of a grasp on, like, who knows what. So it's like, you think some shows are kind of going to be a bomb, and you show up, and it's like, how the hell do these kids know words to these songs? Like, who are these people? Like, what even is this? But, and sometimes other shows, it's always the same. Some shows you think you're going to, like, rip, and you get there, and it's like, right to the bar.
Once again, we're chatting with rapper GDP here on AM 1460. The new WXBR new EP, Holla, is available now. You can Google that, find out where it's available. He plays tonight at McNeil's in Providence, tomorrow night at the Massasoit Elks Lodge in Boston. Any final words for our listeners before I let you go?
Support genuine music, or there won't be any more of it.
Well, that's GDP joining us here on AM 1460, the new WXBR. You on Twitter, my friend?
I am on Twitter. Everything, all the social media, is just at G6P6P6, just GDP and 666, mixed up Instagram and Facebook and all those places the kids love so much.
Well, the folks can find you there. That's GDP joining us here on AM 1460, the
Find
new
me, baby.
What's that?
I said, find me, baby.
All right, we'll step aside for a quick break. Back with more of the program after this.